All right, welcome back to our show all about EVO 2015. We've been talking about games and players and storylines for each one. Let's move on now to Ultra Street Fighter 4. But before we do that, we just want to bring up the fact that we have been thinking about doing this for a little while, and finally we did it. We have set up a Patreon for UltraChen TV, which you can find at patreon.com/UltraChenTV. You can check it out. And we have had sort of PayPal direct support for a while, but we never really talked about it. And big shout outs to the people who have been helping us out in that way. Really appreciate that. But there's a lot of work involved in this thing, and I just think it would be nice. So that's what we're doing. So if you could check it out at patreon.com/UltraChenTV, you can give, I don't know, any amount of money, I guess, but there's
that's
some...
How Patreon works.
That's how Patreon works. All the way up to the $100 tier, which your reward will be, we'll just refund it, because that'd be silly. don't give us $100 for a month.
Yeah, but I mean, the cool things are, if you do donate certain amounts, we'll do like match analysis. You can actually send us some match videos. I know we talked about that in the past. Never carried through it, so apologies to the people who have donated, hoping to get some match analyses and stuff like that. But
we'll definitely double down on that stuff for sure. So check it out. We would really appreciate it if you could support us.
Yeah, cool. But might be the last you'll ever hear of that. So
we'll see.
And I mean, honestly, because the two of us, we're not into being like, dudes, donate.
What's funny is that I'm so into like business and promotion when it comes to like work, and even commentary. Right. For whatever reason, with UltraChen, I always feel weird about that.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I agree as well. So
anyway,
Ultra Street Fighter
4. So this is the biggest fighting game tournament ever.
Yes.
Ever.
I mean, look. It's so hard to put this into perspective, just how ridiculous this event. When I started the show, we talked about how happy we were that we got 64-man brackets at B3, and all these things. 2,200 people are vying for a ton of money.
Indeed.
In Ultra Street Fighter 4 Evolution. This is the most this is probably, we can probably say that this is the biggest open bracket for any video game ever at one event. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously been stuff with regionals or whatever like that, but you're talking one event this weekend. They are going from 2,200 to one guy in the span of 3 days.
In the span of one day, they're going from 2,200 plus to 8. 8 humans will be left.
Yes.
Or whatever, cyborgs. That's it. That's it.
It's pretty ridiculous, and I think you just mentioned to me that once you qualify out of pools, you're in a 256-man bracket. Exactly.
That is your reward for qualifying out of pools. Now, I went through all the pools. For the most part, I found them pretty reasonable. I didn't find that many pools that I thought were death pools. That's not to say that there were none. We can go over some of those in a little bit. But when you do that, if you do make it out of pools, 256-person tournament right there. And that's like the mega tournament. Those matchups could be literally matchups that would have been, and in some cases will have been, top 8.
The grand finals matches
top 8
are gonna have
tournaments matchups right then, and in that 256. So one of the big storylines has to be that we have no idea what's going to happen.
Look,
I have no idea. Look. Daigo could be 256th place, and it wouldn't even be that crazy.
Right. You'd just be like, well, so that happened.
That really could happen.
Right. Look, so we talked about 64 to 2000. I have never seen a fighting game with a bigger pool of potentially super strong players. There's probably a good 100 people who are in this pool right now, who are in this 2,200 people, that if you took those 100 people, threw them in a hat, and drew 8 names out of them, 100% of the results that you get would be like, that's a reasonable top 8. I could totally see that happening.
Sure.
So once you get to 256-man bracket in that, after you get out of your pools, that pools right there is just like killers.
Yeah.
That's it. Like 256.
Nothing to be done about that.
Like if all 256 players have been in a top 8 at a tournament before, I would not be surprised. Like, that's how ridiculous this is. Like, just the scope of this event, the amount of players that are going into this that are so good at the game is ridiculous.
It's all the people who you can think of. I mean, I thought about sitting down here and coming to a list and having like, all right, here are the players to watch for. And I started that, and I don't know if you check out the pools. You can check out the pools, evo.shoryuken.com/schedule. You can see all the pools. It's impossible. I went through the first row of pools, and it was just useless. Like, I was like, all right, I've written down like 50 names. What am I doing?
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and like talk about 200 players who I think could be legit. Like, it's silly. So it's all the players who you can think of, and really, I really have no idea who I think is going to take it.
I mean, I saw some people during the break in the chat, they're arguing about Daigo. They're like, Daigo's washed up, he's going to do worse than last year. Other people are like, Daigo's still amazing, he was learning Evo Ryu. Look, I'm at the point right now, and I think Daigo's amazing.
Yeah.
I think, like, if I had to rank, like, the top 10 players in the world, Daigo's in the top 10,
of course.
right? I would not be surprised, like you said, if he went out like in 256th place or 128th place. I would not be surprised if he made grand finals. Like, that's the way it is at this
on both
point in
sides,
time.
I agree.
Like, I can picture Infiltration, Tokido, Justin Wong, all these guys I can picture going out in 128th place.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just not even be surprised. Like, I would just, okay, sure. Because on any given day, you're going to, like last year at Evo, dang, that was only a year ago. Jeez. Like when Velociraptor knocked Infiltration in the loser's bracket.
Right.
Right? That happened, right? So it's like any one of these players can beat any one of these other players on any given day.
Like last year, Daigo lost to Filipino champ and to John Choi, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
there's no shame in that. And that kind of thing could happen again this year. Right. So do you want to talk about some of the crazy pools?
Sure. I mean, was there any other like stories that you wanted to bring up or anything like that?
Oh, for sure. But go on.
Well, so do you want to do the stories?
Yeah,
or
go
cool
on.
stories?
Yeah,
no.
okay.
Yeah. So I mean, look, I talked about this a lot at CEO, and I got shit for both sides of it too, which is really funny to me. Yeah. Really funny to me. So to me, you know, I don't care. Look, I don't care what anyone says. It is a big story about US having never won an Evo in Street Fighter 4. It wouldn't have been as big of a deal if Luffy did not win last year.
Oh, really?
But because now, like I said, the fighting game community is always divided into 3 parts, right? It's always Asia, the US, and then there's Europe. Obviously, there's a lot more than that, but that's always the 3 major areas that kind of battle it out for supremacy and stuff like that. So normally Asia's been winning all the events, and you're like, okay, Asia's winning. Then Luffy comes in and wins last year, and now Europe is like, what up now? And so the argument really has gotten to the point that U.S. is third best between the 3 major areas. And I think that's true.
Okay.
Right? 1, I think that's true. But 2, that also builds into this story because, you know, where is U.S. going to do in this tournament? How are they going to do in this tournament? Europe won one before U.S. And CEO was really interesting because CEO had a lot of the U.S. players do well. Can the U.S. actually take Evo in Ultra Street Fighter 4 before Ultra Street Fighter 4 potentially leaves being the top game?
So some examples. Smug beat Momochi.
801 Strider beat Daigo.
Yeah, and Mago?
Yes, he did.
Right.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
beat
no,
Mago.
I'm having trouble. But so top 8 at
Daimanian beat who was it? Daimanian beat Infiltration as well. Yeah.
So top 8 at CEO was half American, and the Americans were in top 4 or 5. Yeah. But they weren't in top 1.
Yes.
They were not in top 1. It was Kazunoko, Japan still. So I guess while I was very happy with that result, an American player didn't win.
Yeah.
And even if at Evo, if like 7 of the top 8 is American players and the 1 is not number 1,
yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
Oh, well,
yeah.
So I am not terribly optimistic. Let me be frank that an American player is going to win. I do think that there are enough very strong American players to really whittle down the foreign competition.
Yes.
I really believe that. We've seen that happen. But there are just too many good players from too many different places. It's not just Japan. Korea and Singapore and Taiwan and the UK and France. And, there are too many good countries at the game. Even the UAE and Saudi and Kuwait have legit players. It's everywhere.
Yes.
So the likelihood that any one country would win, especially the US, I think is not great. But to even extend that further, I would bet against countries. I would take the field. If somebody said, let's bet that Japan wins, I would take the field of countries, because that field of countries includes Infiltration and Punko and Game B and Shen and Luffy and everybody. Yeah,
Reinhardt,
Ryan, there's just too many good players. Valmaster. I mean, so I feel like that is really where the game has gone, is to this extremely strong level of international talent. And I don't think that it's parity, but I do think that there's enough good players everywhere to really whittle down all of the foreign competition.
Yeah. And for the first time, like, really honestly, a lot of Street Fighter 4 tournaments, actually maybe this was the case last year, and because there was almost 2,000 players last year as well. But where you fall in the brackets is going to make a huge difference. Who you run into is going to make a big difference, because 44 characters, counter picks come into play and such like that. So there's definitely, if, for example, Daigo didn't run into Filipino champ last year, how well would he have done? Right? He just ran into a matchup that wasn't particularly strong for him, right? But I don't know. It's just like, it's going to make such a difference how people fall into losers as well as it goes. You know what I mean?
So when I spent like 3.5 hours going through the bracket earlier today, that's one of the things I thought about too. I was like, well, let's see how the second round matches will look. And I started like pairing up, who goes here, who goes there. And then that's what I realized. I was like, but if somebody gets sent to losers, then this is totally thrown off.
Yep,
This is a completely useless endeavor. And there are so many good players, again, that you don't know who's going to... It's not like I can like shift one and be like, well, all these players are probably going to make it, except for this one could be in losers.
Right.
No.
Yeah, and
anybody can be in losers.
And here's another interesting story that's kind of going into this as well, is that last year Ultra was pretty new. Pretty new. Now we've been sitting on the game for a year. We know this game really well now, right? So the results of this event are going to be, I think, judged a lot differently than perhaps last year, right?
Okay.
So, as I mentioned, another thing that makes that a possibility is that this could be the last time Ultra Street Fighter 4 is the main event.
It is the last time.
Yeah, because next year is probably going to be Street Fighter 5, right?
I can't imagine it wouldn't be.
Right. So, in other words, a lot of people are going to see this being as like the defining, like you left on top.
Yeah.
So this is like the big one. This is the big one, right? So there's going to be so much ridiculous pressure on all the players. Like, I don't care who you are. I don't even care if you're Stone-Faced Daigo. You're going to be feeling the pressure. You're going to get nervous on that stage, and stuff is going to happen, and you're just going to start dropping combos or whatever, and having these horrible moments that will plague you for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? It's going to happen to there's going to be a lot of heartbreak this year. So.
Yeah, I figure SF4 will probably be there next year in the same way that like Third Strike stuck around for a year, CVS stuck around for a year after SF4 came out. But it seems pretty reasonable to me to not have SF4 2 years from now.
Yeah.
I think that's not unlikely.
Yeah.
Now, that's not a negative about SF4. It's nothing about the game itself. That's been the tendency in previous times. So that's what I would expect. So I feel like there's 1 or 2 years more, at most, left of being able to prove yourself in 4.
Right, and let's say next year Street Fighter 5 gets to like 2,500 competitors or something crazy, right? I would imagine Ultra would probably drop down to maybe like 1,200 or something like that.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
And so if the field drops by a lot, like, then everyone's going to be like, well, you didn't go through 2,200 people, right?
Exactly.
So
I definitely think that that's true. Now, the game having been out for a year and, of course, SF4 having been out for 6, I do feel that this year we're going to see more characters than we saw previously. Even though we've already seen a lot of characters. That's been a strong characteristic of SF4 since AE 2012. to have a really good character variety. But even just recently, we've seen Tokido pick up Hugo, right? I mean, just recently that started to happen. And at CEO, the players who have one main character actually did better overall than people who had multiple characters, which implies to me that you can get by at least that one weekend with just one character, and that's how balanced it has become.
It's weird because we've talked a lot about you need to have two characters.
It seemed that way, and maybe that's still the case. Maybe CEO is an aberration, but that weekend it seemed like you were better off knowing one character very well, and that your character can deal with multiple matchups just because that's how the game is. So I feel like at Evo, that sort of implies to me that we'll see a lot of character balance and character variety at Evo. And in going through, I don't really think that character selection is going to be a big factor for deciding matchups, except in the more extreme cases of like, look, if it's a Blanca versus a Hawk, right, something like that. Right. But for the most part, that's not going to be the issue. Or if it's DJ versus, half the cast, whatever. That character aside, I really feel like it's not going to be even that useful to try to decide who's going to win based on the characters.
No, I agree. I mean, really, honestly, there's just too much going into this game to really pinpoint, like, a few general stories, like, here's this player on this rise, here's this player on this rise, or whatever. It's impossible. It's really just the story of this is how big it is, the scope of it, and coming from a larger point of view, how is US going to do? Can they finally take one, maybe the last one?
I agree with that to a large extent. I would say that I think that one potential is, can Mago keep it up? Because Mago has... Mago is among certainly the most dominant players in USF4 over the past half year. For a while it was Momochi, right? It's switched
it was
around
Momochi, then Daigo, now Mago.
Right. So a question, and at CEO, Mago still got top 8. I mean, he didn't win, but he did very well.
Right.
So can he keep it up? A player who, a lot of people don't know sort of top level players firsthand, right? Well, I can tell you this. A lot of them thought that Mago sucked for a long time. And not just in SF4, but they thought that he just got by based on top tier characters or characters who had some stupid oppressive thing like RC Honda.
Right.
And that was it. That he wasn't actually that good. But that's all out the window. He's ridiculous now, and everybody recognizes it. So I think that's awesome for him. I feel like that's sort of the only big one that I would pick right now.
Yeah, I mean, Momochi is obviously a good story as well because he's the Capcom Cup champion. A lot of eyes are going to be on Daigo. I think from an American player standpoint, Smug is always a huge story going in there. Can he dominate everybody? Because, everyone's basically bursting at the seams for a Smug making top 8 at EVO.
Yes,
everyone would be super happy if something like that happened. Can Luffy make it back to top 8? Right? If Luffy, dude, I would love to see Luffy make it back to top 8, just so people can just stop saying like Luffy was a fluke or that.
Oh, that would be great. Good. That would be great
because 100% he's amazing player, right? And so,
real talk though, do you think any of the players who made top 8 last year are going to make top 8?
Who was top 8 last year?
I probably should have looked that up before asking that question.
Fudo, Snake Eyes,
Bonchan,
Sako, Ricky, Xiaohai.
I think that was a couple of years ago. I don't remember.
Well, those 6 of them right there.
Okay.
Do I think any of those guys could make it back in the top 8?
Could is a different question.
Oh yeah. Will make it back in the top 8.
Yeah. Or which one of those has the best chance?
Right.
Gacked. It was Gacked.
That's what it was.
Thank you.
No, Ricky was there because Ricky was the closest to beating.
I'm pretty sure Ricky was in it.
Yeah.
Oh, click on that link.
Oh, let's hope it's not a troll.
That'd be hilarious. Oh, come on. Speed.
I can't get to
Scroll speed.
Where did it go?
Oh, you lost it. There
it is, right there. Copy. Let's see here. Top 8.
Okay, Luffy, Bonchan, Fudo, Snake Eyes, Gacked, Ricky, Momochi, Sako. Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Who do you think is the most likely to make it back?
Momochi. Momochi.
Okay, I think I agree with that, actually.
Yeah, out of all of them, probably Momochi. Then, actually, to be honest with you, number 2, I might pick Luffy. I might pick Luffy to be the next highest chance of making it back.
Okay.
Because Luffy is just, like I said, he's a good player. He's a good character. And he's recently picked it up again. He's won a lot of tournaments again. So, here's another story that I actually think, in terms of individual players. PR Balrog.
Okay.
Because last year I feel like Evo was kind of the thing that broke PR Rog. He had done so good at Evo every single year. And last year, it wasn't even just Street Fighter. PR Rog had a bad Evo. He just didn't do well in any of the games. He was frustrated. And then immediately after Capcom Cup, I think I'm going to retire was the message that came from him, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, we all know what happens when players try to retire from this game. It's too much fun. You can't stop playing.
Especially if you announce it. If you announce that you're going to retire, the success rate of announcing retirement and retiring is like 0. If you just sort of fade into the distance, that's the way people actually do go out. But nobody says I'm going to leave and then leaves.
Yeah, a.k.a. Jordan, right?
Michael there you
Jordan,
go.
Right? Yeah. But here's the thing. At CEO, he was undoubtedly the player that stood out the most to me that weekend because he was on fire. So can he get back into that position just from that performance alone and knowing his past? And because I am a big PR Rog fanboy, I can totally picture him being one of the Americans with the best shot of getting to top 8 again. So.
I'm a big Gustavo fanboy.
Right.
And I would love to see him get up there. But
yes,
I don't know. We'll see.
I agree with that.
I have no idea.
I agree with that.
I have no idea.
So.
You want to go over pools?
Yeah, let's do it.
Some of the crazy pools.
Let's do pools.
Speaking of 801 Strider in A7, KSK, 801 Strider, same side of the bracket, then Human Bomb and Moons, who has actually been playing SF4 pretty well lately.
Okay.
That'll be cool. A9 has Eita, Tapakuma, of course. I think he got 9th at EVO last year.
I heard he plays 13. A lot of Yun now. That's what someone in chat was saying.
Oh, for real?
Yeah,
okay. That's cool. And Ed Ma. Ghost from the past. Ghost from the past. Top 8 at EVO. What was he, 3rd at EVO?
He was 3rd at EVO during the 2009 year. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. He was, pretty much it was Japan versus East Coast versus West Coast.
Yeah.
Because I remember cheering for Edma like you couldn't even imagine.
Sure.
Yeah, and he ended up getting 3rd place to Daigo and Justin. That's all.
I was so sad I didn't enter that year because I beat him so many times in SF4.
Oh, yeah?
Life. Yeah, dude. And I didn't enter EVO anyway. I was so mad, believe me. He was really good. Yeah. So that's one side of A9. Also, Tinchi, very strong New York player who's done well in Japan actually a couple of times. XSK Samurai and Jason Cole.
Okay.
Maybe Ghost from the Past as well. A10 has Ricky Ortiz and Tampa Bison on the same side.
Ooh.
And then Gonzalez, the very strong Seth player from Japan, as well as L.I. Joe, who is always a threat randomly. B1 has Ron Masama and Nivek, the Greek MKX player, who I don't know how well he plays SF4, but he's really good at MK. I wouldn't put it past him to be good at that game either. Then also BJ Unchained and Valmaster in that pool. B5 has...
every one of these pools is like one of those mini majors.
Well, I mean, like I said,
on their own.
Almost all of the pools I thought were reasonable.
Right.
But there are so many pools.
Right. Yeah.
That some of them are going to be crazy, and there's just nothing you can do.
Well, because the thing is, like a lot of like those not majors, not like CEO, not like final round, but like the lower tier right under there. Like a lot of those events have like the 4 killers.
Yeah.
In the tournament, and that's every pool here at EVO.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
So I'm not sure if he's actually going to be here because I've heard conflicting things, but Keoma, the Brazilian Able player, and Reiketsu, the Japanese Poison and Claw player, same pool, and also in that pool is Bronx Puerto Rock.
Right.
Then B17 has Chris G and Jace the Ace, and Tomo, a really good Singapore guile, and Esta, the cross Tekken player. A lot of people might have slept on that scene, but he was considered to be ridiculous in that game, so I'm looking forward to that.
I got a word from Defeat Lee in chat saying that Keoma's not going, that he couldn't get his visa for EVO.
That's what I had heard too, but I don't know. I just wanted to bring it up, just in case. C14, I feel like this is one of the tougher ones, has Snafu, the Canadian Dawson player, as well as Integra, Ken player Filipino Man, and Damdai, and Sido, the Japanese Cody player. I feel like that pool is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay.
D18 has MOV versus Alex Myers, first round. MOV, very strong, obviously.
One of the greatest Third Strike players of all time.
For sure. And Alex Myers is a really good player. I mean, honestly, he's been very good. Mm-hmm. And also in that pool, it's not it. Sanford Kelly, same side of the bracket.
What?
Lap Cheese on the other side of the bracket. So.
What? Wow.
Yeah. Let's see. D20. Moko, the Japanese Dudley player, plays against ML Swear, like the only Hakan player in the US. Well, one of just a couple in the US. First round. Also in that is Commander Jesse, a really good SoCal player, and El Cubano Loco, a very good NorCal player.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of Hakan, actually, I just wanted to bring him up. Coco Banana Man is going to be in D25, but also Fubar Duck versus MBR from Europe, first round, and then Fruit, who I was really impressed by. He was the player from the Middle East who did really super well at that Middle Eastern tournament recently, a very strong Sakura player. I'm looking forward to that. E11 has Ohige, the Japanese Fuerte player, and Latif and Veggie, Norwegian Gift. And then this is not, I mean, these are two good players, but it's not quite like the others, but I just thought this was funny, that E28 has Itabashi, Zangief, and Hamad in the same pool. And like Hamad, I feel like is almost uniquely positioned to deal well with any Zangief player. So.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? I mean, you say that, but you have Itabashi and you have Snake Eyes. They're so different.
You're right. They are very different.
So different. And in fact, that could potentially bite Hamad if Hamad is expecting this really logical Zangief, footsie-based Zangief.
Well, you're right.
And then Itabashi's like, jump! You're
right.
Let me do empty jump 720 because that works.
It does work sometimes, yeah.
So...
Yeah. I thought a couple of other pools were sort of funny. One has Choco Blanca versus Black Skills, first round. And also Perfect Legend is in that side of the bracket. And then Shoegazer.
Oh, cool. Good stuff.
Shout-outs.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Shoegazer, he just tweeted out that picture from that guy who makes the crazy joysticks all the time. Look, straight to my heart.
Wow.
Straight to my heart. He made this is going to be shown at EVO. I think they're going to bring it to EVO. I don't know how they're going to display it or whatever like that. But it is a Soundwave model joystick. The most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
It was ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's so pretty.
I was amazed at that.
Yeah,
that's pool E19. Then pool C28, aka Anime Games Legend pool, which is comprised of Dogura and obviously Blazblue, Soji, obviously Persona, and Flocker, Marvel.
Yeah. Nice.
The anime game pool.
Good job.
So those are the pools that I thought were of note. Like I said, like every good player is in a pool, but oftentimes there's some strong player and then people who I don't recognize. Maybe they're very good. I always want to preface looks at pools by saying that certainly I could have missed somebody, but they're basically in there. All the good players. So where it's really going to get nuts is not just in those pools, like in that insane Filipino man pool, etc., but in the second round.
Dude, you think
out of pools.
You think that if I looked up the phrase shoegazer on Twitter, that I wouldn't end up with like 7,000 results here? Jesus. There we go.
There it is.
There we go. Okay.
Are you gonna put it on in the chat here?
I'm just gonna bust this.
It's honestly amazing.
Dude, this is seriously the most ridiculous looking thing ever. So give me a second, guys. I'm trying to set up the screen cap of it. So.
Yeah, it's so nice looking.
Dude, this thing is so pretty. And like I said, I mean, this is right to my heart, right? I mean, I'm a Transformers fan.
Indeed.
Through and through. So here we go. Dude, look at that thing.
Look at that.
Dude, it's so pretty. It's even got like the buttons here. This exact Soundwave arms here. And then let me see. So here's another picture.
That's so sick.
Yeah, dude, this thing is ridiculous.
It's art. It's amazing.
Yeah, look at this thing.
Look at the detail.
dude, it's. So
I would feel bad about playing video games on that.
Oh, I would not use
that
it
would
to
be
play
up on the wall.
Yeah,
it would
be I would just take it, and put it in a display case, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
That thing is true artwork right there. Yeah, and it flashes. It has light stuff.
Indeed.
Too. Yeah,
it does. It lights up to the music.
Yep,
lights up to the beat.
So cool, so cool. Like, there's actually a YouTube video out there of it in action as well that you can try to find. Just go to at Jimmy_shoegazer, JIMMY_ shoe GAZE. Oh jeez. I totally destroyed that one. Yeah, GASTE. Jimmy Shoegazer. Go to his Twitter, and you're gonna be able to see a lot of the videos and stuff like that. So, in fact, the top tweet that he has, the first tweet that you'll be able to see, one of the first tweets that you'll be seeing from him is that video. So, I wonder if I can actually play it. Dude, that's so cool.
Indeed.
Okay. Dude, that thing is so sick. Anyways, yeah. What were we talking about? You said Jimmy Shoegazer was in that pool.
B15 SDM.
Okay.
Shoutouts.
Oh yeah, there you
Just
go.
absolutely ridiculous designer.
Yeah.
Of joysticks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I thought was a cool pool. And then, like I said, anime pool, including Flocker implying that Marvel's anime.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to talk about SF4?
Jeez, I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean,
it's the toughest tournament ever in fighting games. It's the toughest tournament ever.
Maybe even in video game history.
Maybe
I don't know.
In
video game history.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. There's just too many people. The game has been out long enough that almost nobody in that is going to be a scrub.
Dude,
like
great.
you're not gonna show up there and have free fluff to get through. Even it's not even like that. So
dude, everyone's joking now that this VOD is going to get muted now. So
it might.
Yeah. So oops.
It might.
Anyways,
I'll edit out that sound for the YouTube.
Yeah, I know.
How about
right?
that?
Yeah, there you go. No, dude, I know everyone's just joking.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay. So, what are we gonna do about Tekken?
I don't know. You know what? I've been trying to get in contact with some people. Our original guest stuck in traffic, and I've tried to get a couple of other people who I thought would be good at it, and they haven't gotten back to me or said that they're going to sleep or that they can't make it for other reasons. I'm not sure. I really didn't want to let any of the games go. It's unfortunate to have to skip something, but I'm not sure what we can do at this point.
For those people who aren't aware, so let's just try to go over the best that we can to our knowledge, right? Obviously, the main story of Tekken is that it's Tekken 7, which hasn't gotten any console release yet. This is actually going to be an arcade-specific event, an arcade cabinet-specific tournament. They're bringing Tekken 7 arcade cabinets and stuff like that, and they're actually going to be playing on that. So, obviously, this is going to have one of the biggest... this is going to heavily skew towards the Japanese players who have access to this game, right, who have been able to play it in the arcades and get some practice with it. Now, that's not saying that it hasn't shown up to a lot of the West Coast tournaments here. It's been playable at CEO, it's been playable at, SCR Prelude, it's been playable at Final Round, and even right now, as we speak, it's playable in some arcades across the states.
That's true.
And I know Round 1 here in Southern California is one of them. Tasty Steve has been tweeting that out a lot, and so it's actually available for them to play. The interesting thing about it is Tekken 7 has gotten very kind of. It's one of those. It's basically what happened when Street Fighter 4 came out. It's Tekken Street Fighter 4. They've simplified the game a little bit.
Yeah.
They've tried to make it a little bit more accessible. So I've heard from both sides. There's some people who are angry about it, who feel like the game is going to be catered too much to beginners and stuff like that, right? And that it's, not quite the same hardcore. They don't like it being easier or whatever like that. But, honestly, here's the interesting part about it is that despite this game not being available on consoles, only playable by the Japanese arcade scene, and a lot of people, maybe not necessarily being happy about it being one of the easier Tekken games to learn, it actually has the most entrants for a Tekken game at EVO in history.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was just told that yesterday. This is actually the largest number of entrants that Tekken has ever gotten at EVO. So there you go. So, maybe it's not necessarily a bad thing that the way that this is all turning out and everything like that.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's like 400 and some players or something like that, and that's the highest that Tekken's ever gotten at an EVO. So there you go. Should be, still a lot of fun to watch. Look, even if you are familiar with Tekken, it's still going to play a lot like Tekken, and Tekken 7 is beautiful. This game looks ridiculous,
it is,
right?
Agreed.
It's
I'm really looking forward to playing it.
And this is all leading up to the Iron Fist tournament that they're putting out, and so I know a lot of people are mad about that one because that one's also going to favor the Japanese players because they're the only ones that have the access to it and stuff like that. But
they put. Oh, go on. Sorry.
I'm just saying, like Tekken. This is all just good stuff for Tekken, just to keep this momentum going leading into next year.
They put in a pop bonus, right? Didn't they?
Yeah, for Evo, right?
For Evo,
yeah, $30K pop bonus.
A $30,000 pop bonus, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which basically brought the total. So Evo at one point was $250,000, more than $250,000 giving away, which was $270,000. Then they added the $30K pop bonus, so now it's over $300,000 being given away at Evo.
Yeah, and it was only given after the entrance was done, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Which means that, that wasn't part of why there are so many people playing the game. That was not even a factor to it. Mm-hmm. It's just a way for them, I guess, to reward the players who are going to reward that scene, which I'm fine with.
Right,
I think that's cool.
So, obviously we could talk about the player stories, but I think the player stories, the individual player stories, is a little bit trumped by the fact that, U.S. is obviously not going to have as much chance to play it. They're not going to be able to practice it as much. So, I don't think it'll be a surprise to anybody if Japan is just like top 8 in the game, because they're the only ones who are really going to have opportunity to play it often and such. So
okay, do you want to take a short break? I might have found somebody. We'll see.
Oh, you might have found somebody? Okay. Let's take a short break. Hopefully we can get.
If we come back without any guests, don't be too surprised. But we'll see. All right, be back soon.
Be right back.